Hi everyone. I think it's been a while since our last webinar, David. We've been working very hard. Yeah, it has. I think we must have missed a month somewhere along the line. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Very excited about this webinar. We've pulled out some slides and everything, which is not like us. So today we are going to show you a host of new features, which is sort of the direction that CoverageBook is going. I'm going to start us off with some fancy slides, just so you can see a bit more about our thinking behind this, what we're doing now, and a bit of where we're going. And then I shall hand over to David, as usual, who will take you through sort of the demo part of the webinar. For those who don't know us, I'm Laura. I head up customer success. Here's David. He heads up customer support. And as ever, we have the lovely Will on keyboards. So there he is saying hello. So feel free to say hi in the chat. Keep Will and his fingers busy by asking him questions. Hi, Sue. Hi, Isabella. Keep Will's fingers busy asking him questions as you go along. He can do any sort of like quick fire questions, and we can loop back towards the end if there's anything that's a bit more detailed to cover. And the last thing to highlight is don't worry about jotting loads of notes as we go along. There will be a automated follow-up email of the webinar for you to follow. So I think we've got a slightly longer time slot. We've got an extra 10 minutes this week. Oh, Julie can only see a dark screen and no audio. Does everybody else have a dark screen and no audio? Let me know in the chat if you can see us both. David and I did a quick check. Sue can see me. Jacob can see us. Okay. Everybody else can see us. That's fine. Christine, there's a tiny presentation, but the bulk of it will be David showing you the actual how-to of how we do things. Perfect. Glad you can all see. And Julia, I hope you can log back on and come back. But we'll send you the recording as well. So without further ado, like I said, I've got some slides for once, just a few quick ones to go through, just showing sort of where CoverageBook is and where we're going. So I sort of titled it From Clipbooks to Smarter Analysis, because I know that a lot of people have been using CoverageBook in the past for sort of a clipbook type thing. So we've been very good at showcasing how great the coverage is, pulling some metrics. But where we're going is to have a bit of a deeper look at sort of coverage analysis. And part of the reason for that is we speak to sort of thousands of teams across the world, all sort of doing PR measurement. And we know that the best one goes beyond just the volume and the reach and the sort of the numbers. It's pulling out sort of the stories behind things. And PR teams aren't really short of data. The difficulty is using that data and having the data in a way that it can pull it into some sort of structured insights, and then often budget follows. Because once you've got loads of sort of structured insight that's deeper than just the coverage volumes, you can start to understand sort of like where your budget is working harder, understand more about how your brand is mentioned, and sort of spot trends over time. But from all the research and all the people that we've been speaking to, there was one common thing in that getting this insight is sort of like a lot harder than it should be. And this is really important right now, more important than it has been, because obviously more and more teams are trying to or are using AI to pull through more analysis, and there's loads of cool and wicked things you can do. But if you are going to use any sort of AI tools to do any of this deeper analysis, the coverage has to be structured like for like, so that the AI tools can read the data. So we had a bit of a look to see how people are pulling sort of more data and insight. And, you know, most people are using spreadsheets with sort of added columns of coverage type, what activity led to it, the sentiment of that coverage, how many brand mentions there are and things like that. Spreadsheets are generally the go-to. People add more columns. But most of these spreadsheets are handled by one key team member, maybe a couple of other people sort of know how to do it. I don't know if this is sort of a similar thing that you're seeing across your teams and agencies. And so a lot of this tagging is sort of done manually and, more importantly, isn't consistent. So for instance, what we've seen, we looked at loads of different spreadsheets, and we saw that the same category can exist under different variations, spelt slightly differently, mean different things. And even of the spreadsheets where they have sort of nailed down exactly some sort of consistent taxonomy, then that might be great for one campaign, but then another campaign is measured slightly differently. And then you add these together to do some year-long insight. And again, it starts to fall down. And so a lot of people that we spoke to were just like, it's too hard because of all of these reasons. And one of the biggest difficulties that we found when we spoke to people was setting up this taxonomy, you know, a consistent one that will work, that everybody knows how it is, what it calls, what it all means. And that part's one of the most difficult parts. And we agree, actually, when we started to have a look at this, there was a lot of work that had to go into, you know, what categories will we have for what. And so we have we've released some new ways to analyze your coverage within CoverageBook, and all with a set taxonomy. So there's a lot of work being done into each of these areas. Sentiment was obviously the easiest, positive, neutral, negative, but with the other ones, sort of the coverage type, what, you know, is it an interview, and things like that. Brand prominence, we've done a lot of work into brand prominence. So not just was the brand mentioned, you know, is it headline mention, is it further down, and bringing that into a score that can be analysed. We'll go into this in more detail in a minute, and also having sort of a PR activity, so a set of things that you can say that this activity drove this coverage. Because once you've got all that set up in a consistent, clear way, you can start to see things like, you know, which campaigns generated the most prominent coverage. You know, that a piece of coverage that's all about your brand is not equal to a piece of coverage that just has a brand mention at the very end, but was about the survey, but actually just has a name check at the end. You know, which PR activities actually delivered more views or even engagements, you know, which activities should we be doing more of, you know, what coverage type is more positive for you as a brand, and probably most of the important ones, you say, no, like, at what point should we stop doing what we're doing, adapt, or continue because this is working well. So having this layer of tagging on top of the coverage that you're putting through, having this layer of analysis, I should say, should help you start to answer some of these questions. One of the biggest questions that I knew would come up first, and I thought I should tackle first, is like, is all this automated? Because that would be absolutely brilliant. Yes, no, and not quite yet. So we can automatically detect what sort of coverage type your piece of coverage is. And again, David will go through this in more detail. Sentiment, we are very nearly there. I'm very excited, and I probably have been the most skeptical person that anyone could do analyze sentiment. There's been so much work gone into you know, looking at what is it. We're not looking at the sentiment of the whole article, we're looking at the sentiment of your brand and how it sits there. So we're still doing some more testing. We've been testing like different models, different prompts, and I'm super impressed of the results that I've seen so far. That probably won't be out until sort of autumn time, I think, but the underlying things of getting this automated is there. The others already have a great framework for this consistent tagging. So when we did a lot of the analysis at the very beginning and a lot of the research between what people need, so much of it was around this framework, this consistency, this not having it in a spreadsheet that's just looked after by one person, having it in a way that everybody can start analysing the coverage. It doesn't have to go through that one person, and everybody knows what everything means. And so there's been so much work gone behind the scenes into getting all the categories that you can choose from. So it should cover everything, but not be so broad that it has everything in the world. So wide but small. And where we got to this far, we didn't want to wait until everything was automated, because we just think everything is so valuable already that we should release everything how it is. You can see it, you can try it, you can let us know how we're going, and then we can just keep improving things as we go along. So yeah, today we're going to walk you through coverage type. Like I said, this is automated for you already. Brand prominence, we're going to go through sort of what you can choose within brand prominence, what sort of score that might get you and what that means. We'll show you sentiment, how you can tag your coverage in different types of sentiment at the moment. Also, how you can show which activity led to that coverage. And that's all about sort of how to do it with your coverage. But then we'll also have a look at sort of like exporting it to a CSV, so you can then start drawing all of those conclusions. And also how you can get to it via the Vault. So, you know, for those of you that don't love spreadsheets, pivot tables aren't necessarily all your friends. You can go and use all the drop downs in the Vault with all of this added stuff and start pulling some really insightful reports. So yeah, I think I've mentioned this is just the beginning of like an exciting era of where CoverageBook is going. And so we're going to keep continuing to improve in this area. And that includes automating more things. But we're encouraging you to test and feedback. One thing that I realise people might have from this is I've spoken to many of you guys over the last few years, and people have been using sort of sections in the past to be able to tag coverage in this way. So like you might have a section for press release or interviews, which actually you might not need that much anymore if we're tagging it as well. So there's the way you set up your books and your accounts and the reports has always been really important. But if anybody is interested, I've also created a bit of a worksheet for anybody who would like to work through it. It sort of goes through at the beginning what can be automated and tagged within CoverageBook, and leads you onto some questions, you know, guiding you down like what type of reports are you consistently asked for, what questions might you be asked at the end of the year, and that might just guide you into a way that you might want to set up your reports going forward. It's linked to in the email that follows this webinar, but if you have any questions for it, just give me a shout. And I believe that is the last bit from me. So I'm going to hand you over to David now. And David will take you through exactly how to do it.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, hey everyone. So yeah, in this second half of the demo, we'll basically just explore those 4 new features that we looked at earlier. And I'll show you how to do those and also what you can do afterwards in terms of filtering and searching and finding all of that stuff that you've tagged. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you're all looking at my CoverageBook report now. Just switch that back on. There we go. So what we're going to do first of all is just have a look at a piece of coverage in a report, and I'll show you where you can see these new features that we've added. So I'm just going to dive into this piece of coverage in my account. So just a really, really quick overview of where you see all of the metrics. The top part of the article is where we have the publisher or outlet level metrics. And then everything you see down on the right-hand side will be metrics that relate specifically to the individual piece of coverage. And by adding in coverage type, prominence, sentiment, and also PR activity tags, it really adds a lot more richer context and deeper kind of structure and classification to your coverage outside of the metrics alone. So it's a really good addition. The first one that we've added is coverage type. And you'll see that in the top right-hand corner of the clip, you'll see that this has been flagged as a feature. So essentially, when you upload a piece of coverage, we will look at the image of the coverage and we will make a prediction as to what type of coverage this is. If you click into the little edit button just next to the feature label, you can actually open up the edit details area here. And we have a few different options available. So you can have a feature, an interview, a news piece, a review article, a roundup, a placement, and also a commentary as well. We will do our best to accurately predict which type of coverage it is, but for any reason, if you want to tweak that or adjust it or change it to your liking, you can do that really simply. Just click on one of these options and select update, and we'll change that on the clip for you. There might be some occasions if you're uploading images from files, if there's not a lot of context in the image, we might not actually have enough information to tag it in any way. So if you don't see anything there, you can come in here and just change that to the type of coverage that you'd like. This is really good because it means that later on you can find out how many articles or pieces of coverage you've had that were feature placements, commentaries, etc., news articles. In fact, all four of these categorization features we're looking through today are all searchable and filterable using the Coverage Vault. So you can really quickly and easily find all of this stuff that you've been tagging in your account. Now, in terms of brand prominence, that's the second one that we have. And you'll see that it will give you like a nice image and a score. You can hover over that and it will just give you a little bit more information there too. If we click on the edit metric option, we have a couple of different things that you need to do. So first of all, you need to decide how visible the brand or product was within the coverage. Was it the primary focus? Is most or all of that article all about your brand or product? And it's really, really showcased heavily, in which case choose primary focus. This will also give you the highest scoring and the most heaviest weighting for your score. If it's a much smaller kind of briefer mention, then you can choose brief mention. What you can do next is then pick all of the additional visibility signals that appear within that coverage. So it could be a headline mention, perhaps you've got a really nice brand visual image in there, you've included some key messages within that piece of coverage. There might even be something like a call to action, a link that will take you to the product or page or wherever that you want the reader to be directed to, and also recommendations as well. If you tag primary focus and then all of the visibility signals, you will get 100, which is the best possible score that you can achieve. And yeah, it's a really good way of kind of benchmarking how prominent your brand or messaging is within that piece of coverage. We have a blog post about this actually that we've written. And within this blog post, we also give the scoring system. We tried to keep this like really, really simple so that it can be really, really consistently applied as well. So essentially something like the primary focus will be 45 points, brief mention is 15, and then it will be sort of 5, 10 or 15 points for the visibility signals that you have. They will all add up to 100 if you select them all. I think, Will, if you can just share that link in the chat, that would be great. So that's brand prominence. And it's such a great way for you to be able to kind of tag up just how visible your brand was within your coverage as you go through your reports. Now, next one, sentiment. This is, as Laura said, we've kept it super, super simple. It's just 3 options: positive, neutral, or negative, and just have a look at the coverage, decide whether or not the tone is favorable or unfavorable towards your brand message or whatever you're tracking. Select one of these options and hit save, and we will show that as a positive, negative, or neutral statement within your coverage book report here, and it will show on the clip. Laura did mention earlier about some automation around sentiment. Yeah, really excited about this one. And we're also going to be doing things like showing like a little written rationale as to how that sentiment was actually achieved as well. So that will be really good when that comes out. Now, at the bottom, we have activity tags. So if you click on the tag this coverage option, this opens up, there's quite a lot of tags here. This is really designed for you to be able to add more kind of context about how this piece of coverage came about, what tactic or action led to this coverage happening. And we've got lots of different options that you can choose from here. It could well be that this piece of coverage was due to influencer outreach, or perhaps via a press release or a media pitch or some other kind of thing. Basically, just tag all of the ones that apply and are relevant to this piece of coverage and that you want to track, such as spokesperson, for example. This is one that we quite often see people use sections for. You could actually tag this as spokesperson coverage to find it much easier later on, rather than doing that in a section. So that could work for you. And then when you're done, just hit save. And then all of those tags that you see will appear down on the right-hand side. If you preview the report and see how it looks when you share this with your clients and stakeholders, they will see these tags in the report. So you'll see the feature, brand prominence, sentiment, and any tags that you've added below. But if you prefer to share a more cleaner looking report and you want to keep this kind of tagging just for your internal team or for your own sort of data purposes, then what you can do is head to the overview tab of your report, go to the settings menu, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you have the ability to basically switch off these tags from being visible in the report. So just hit the toggle switches and it will remove those labels from showing. You can also do that with our core metrics as well above. Now, it does still mean that if you are viewing the report as a logged in user, you can still see those tags and you can still see them in the CSV export as well. So it's just a way for you to remove that visibility from the report when you share it. And then just to touch on that as well, in the metrics summary page, what you can also do is, if you'd like to show the average brand prominence score, we don't add this card by default right now, but what you can do is just go to the choose metrics option, and you'll see that we've got a new section here for brand prominence. You can switch that card on or off if you want to show that through your report. So once you've scored up all of your coverage, you can choose to have that as a card in your summary as well, to display that average score for you. So that's had a look at how you can both apply those tags to your report, how you can make them visible or invisible, and how you can add that card to your summary page. What we're going to do now is look at what can you do with all of that data once you've spent time tagging it up through all of the clips in your report. And probably the best place to do that is to head to the coverage tab. If you hit the coverage button in the top left of your main navigation bar, this opens up the Coverage Vault page. Now, I'll just do a super quick overview of this page if you've not seen it before. It allows you to see all of the pieces of coverage you've ever added since you've been a customer. And there's lots of things that you can do here. You can really quickly filter by highest to lowest engagements or views for pieces of coverage. You can easily find pieces of coverage that you can and then see which reports they've been added to. You can also filter by folder, by report, by section, and this is the place that you would come when you want to do things like make annual or quarterly summaries. I think I saw in the chat earlier, somebody mentioned wanting to override audiences on outlets. Again, if you head over to the Coverage Vault and click on the Outlets tab, you can instantly access all of your outlets, and you can make those global changes if you wanted to update audiences to use your values, etc. So super simple to access from there. Now, in terms of coverage tags, you'll see that we've added filters for coverage type, brand focus, visibility, sentiment, and also PR activity at the bottom. You can basically search and filter for any kind of combination of tags that you are looking for. You can also do it per folder or per report as well. So depending on how you structure your folders, if you have like one folder per client, or perhaps you have one folder per brand or campaign, event, region, however you do that, you can start off by kind of drilling down to the overall area of coverage that you want to look for, and then you can start exploring which tags appear within that coverage. So for example, if I choose David's reports, I can now filter for coverage type, and I can look for any coverage that was a feature. And I've got all of that coverage now in a list really quickly. I can probably take that one bit further and go, well, I just want to worry about the coverage that was really kind of heavily focused on my brand. So I just want to pick out the primary pieces from there. You can do that easily as well. And then we can even drill down further, whether you want to look at, you know, which pieces of coverage had a key message. And we've got 3 pieces of coverage that included a key message within that particular article or selection of articles. And you can also then go further and look at things like which coverage included a spokesperson. And we have one. Now, as you're working through the coverage vault, you'll see that we've got all of these kind of filters added at the top. You can either clear all or just clear one or a few of those if you wanted to just refine your search a little bit more. Now, once you have your coverage, what you can do is if you click to select all of these pieces of coverage, you now have the option to create a brand new report from this coverage. So if you get asked a series of questions, or you need to pull a report based on certain key parameters that you can search for with those tags, once you have those selected, just hit create new report. I'll just call this one new report for speed. And then once you've created that report, we will add the coverage to it. You can create as many reports as you like from existing coverage in your account. That's absolutely fine. Now, once you've created that report, what you can also do is, if you go to the share page of that report and generate a CSV, this will give you a spreadsheet of all of the data, and it will include all of the tags that you have within those clips in the report. Just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to switch over to how that CSV looks. So this is a CSV that I downloaded earlier. And you can see that once you get to the end of all of the social shares and engagements in our regular kind of CSV columns, we've now added data for PR activity, coverage type, sentiment, prominence score, brand focus, and also visibility as well. So you can quickly see all of those tagging that has happened there, and you can use that for further analysis and research as well using the CSV. Now, if you are a silver or above plan customer, you also have the option of using the Coverage Vault to generate a CSV directly from all of the pieces of coverage that you have. So once you've made your filter, you can just select all of those pieces of coverage and go straight to generate CSV, and we will email those directly to you once that CSV is ready. So if you're after just kind of pulling large volumes of data, tags, coverage over time period, etc., then the Coverage Vault is a great place to come if you just need to get that out and into a spreadsheet really, really quickly. So that's hopefully given you an idea of what you can do with all of this data that you're now collecting in your account. Do check out the Vault. It's a really great place to come. We've got some good articles around that as well. That's pretty much everything that I have around coverage tagging and how you can do it, and also how you can use that data afterwards. So just while there are a few more questions coming through, you may or may not have noticed a couple of additional features that we've added to the settings page of our reports. And I just wanted to quickly show you those as a sneaky little extra bit to this webinar. If you go to the overview tab of any of your reports and go to the settings menu, you will now see that it's possible to password protect your reports. So if you wanted to just further enhance the security of any of the share links that you send, click on the password protection button and you can set a password for the report before you share it. So that's just an extra added feature that we've created. You can also now present reports in different languages, and we currently have English, French, German and Spanish available. If you wanted to share a report in one of those languages, just come to the settings page, click on the report language drop down, and you can choose one of those languages. And then when your report reader opens it up, all of the default text and labels will be translated into that language. I think that's everything from me. Did anybody have any questions?
I'm jumping in quickly because I'm quite excited for this one. One wasn't a question, but it was a really interesting conversation about, so when you first labelled coverage type, someone mentioned, what would you call a social post? And somebody else very helpfully said, my team uses sections for social media, so we can sort those separately from traditional. Okay. I thought it might be a good lead for you, David, to show how social and types of coverage is something that actually we've been detecting for a long time, but I guess not everybody knows, sort of in the vault.
Yeah, really good question. So yeah, we automatically detect what type of platform it is. We pick out the social platform, and we also pick out whether it's online or offline media as well. When you are viewing your coverage in your report, we'll actually show the platform in the top right hand corner just above the logo. So you'll see TikTok, YouTube logo, etc. If it's something like an online article, you'll see a little online thing. And we also do the same for other types of coverage as well. So if you have print, TV, radio, you'll see it there. But inside the coverage vault, if you hit the media type drop down, we have it all listed here for you. So it's really quick and easy to do something like just go and pull all of your social coverage together. Or you can, in fact, drill down and be a bit more granular. You can say, OK, I just want to grab all of my TikTok coverage that I have in my account. You can do that really quickly from the coverage vault too. So yeah, it's a really, really good way of doing that. So if you are spending time kind of organizing your reports into sections to try and help find that coverage later on, we already do that for you. And this is probably going to be a much quicker and more reliable way, because you won't need to worry about trying to find the section in each of the reports that you're creating.
Yeah, it's where the worksheet that I mentioned at the beginning might be quite useful. So like understanding what is automatically analysed for you, so therefore does impact often how you might use sections. So you might be able to use sections as things like per campaign, or things that we're not pulling for you, if you know that we can already pull that through. So hopefully that was, I really liked it that everyone in the chat was helping you to add out of that. So thank you, Sue. I think Will's answered the other questions. So there's a request for Portuguese. Yeah, if there's any requests for any languages, do send them our way. We did the most obvious ones to begin with, but like any feature, so whether it be the report language or anything else you'd love to see in CoverageBook, the more people that request it, the higher we can push it up the dev priority queue, because that is really long at the moment. But it's always good to add some more in and get people very busy. Italian and Japanese, yes, we shall request that as well.
Cool.
So I think that's it for us. A few people asked, yes, so you'll, a few people like Japanese. We will send a recording of this. If you've not put your language preference through already, you can always, or if you have any questions following this, the best one to get us always is support@coveragebook.com. You're prong, of course you want Ty. Brilliant. So yeah, lovely to see you all again, and keep us in the loop of how you're using these new features, what you're liking and what you're disliking, because yeah, we're continuing to develop them. So yes, I think that's it from us. Wherever you are in the world, have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.